How's that? We've been living in, it's like it's been a snowstorm of question marks. Nobody knows what's coming next. Nobody knows what's around the corner. Nobody knows how bad things are or if there's an end in sight. I would assume that things are going to continue being a flurry of question marks, not trying to put myself out as a clairvoyant or anything like that. But there's plenty to look at that's substantial and concrete to make us ask, what the hell is coming down the road? Tai Chi is life. When we're practicing Tai Chi, of course we're doing it because we like the way it feels. We like the camaraderie with our Tai Chi classmates. We love the material. It's so fascinating. It's so interesting. It's thought-provoking. But one of the reasons we love it is because it's a microcosm of the macrocosm. What we're learning to do 98% of the time with martial arts is not something where, somebody's probably not going to jump out of the bushes at you and you're going to need to use your Tai Chi. That's not mostly why people are doing these martial arts studies. They're doing them because they teach life principles. They teach principles of natural movement, principles of interaction. They teach what to do when things get difficult, when you're impinged upon, when it's coming at you. We all know what the natural responses are. The natural reactions are to say no, essentially, to avoid, evade, this kind of thing, push things aside, resist things, buck up against them if we feel we have the purchase to do that. Of course, we're wired this way. We're wired just like any other creature this way. When we're studying Tai Chi, what are we learning? What is the point of learning what we're learning? We're learning how to make a connection. We're learning how to listen inside of that connection. From the listening, come to a point of understanding. When we understand things, we're able to receive them a little better, even if they're uncomfortable, even if they're unpleasant, even if they're malicious, even if they're aggressive. So that's the idea. If I say no to it, it's just me against that aggressive force. It's difficult to manage a situation like that because in those conditions, things always escalate. When we avoid things, they eventually catch up with us. We push them aside, but they have an irritating way of establishing themselves right in front of our faces again. So all of these no responses to what's going on create bigger problems. There's also problems in saying yes. There's the nasty thing. There's the thing I don't want. There's the thing I'm unsure about, even xenophobic towards. And here it comes. Saying yes to it sets up a whole other set of challenges. But I want to make a suggestion here, and I think this is an important idea. When you say no to a thing, you've decided no, and you go against it, or you push it aside, or you run away from it. If you're successful, you haven't learned anything. You intended to do that, you did that, it got done, and all that happened was what you thought would happen, and you didn't learn anything. Maybe that I managed it in this situation, maybe you learned that. But when you start to say yes to a force, you don't know what's going to happen. It's all open. And so this connection that happens when you rest in and support, stick and adhere, to use the classical Jianyan language, when you stick and adhere to the thing, then you start listening. Well, already you're learning. Already you're learning. And then from there, you're comprehending. If you've listened through connection, there's a chance you'll understand what you're listening to. And once you understand it and you have structure, that's why we do the forms, that's why we do this practice, always working on the hip track, always working on the structure, the alignment. If you can maintain your structure while receiving the unwanted force, then you will learn. You will learn what it is, what it's got, what you can do with it. And I think this is actually the most important part of the Tai Chi process. The process is not about winning, although one would prefer to win if there's a malevolent source of imposition. One would prefer to come out okay, but it's not the point. The point is the connection, the listening, the understanding, the receiving, and the ability to neutralize. This word neutralize is interesting because it assumes a force that is somehow undesirable. We neutralize a force like that. Now that makes perfect sense in terms of martial arts, in terms of the idea of attack and defense, me versus you. I want to be able to neutralize the attack, for sure. But we can actually make that a part of our life philosophy. The idea here is to think of neutralizing in terms of the fact that it's causing transformation of energy. We could use the word transform as well as we could use the word neutralize. And I think this is a really, really important concept because if, as I suggest, there's going to be a lot of SHTF coming our way in 2022 and beyond, then we need psychological tools to deal with that. This world has become, in my view, very external. It's all out there. All of our internal processes are happening through these devices outside of us right now. We don't just want to be not fragile, we want to be the opposite of that. We want to be anti-fragile. If I can recommend a book, one of the best Tai Chi books ever written, it's called Anti-Fragile by Nicholas Taleb. What Taleb suggests is that there's mechanical systems that when they receive stress, they eventually break down. But then there's organic biological systems that when they don't receive stress, when they're not active, when they're not stressed, they break down. Use it or lose it. Human beings really are developed to deal with stressors and through that become stronger. So what we're looking at is thriving under stress rather than collapsing under stress. And I think this mindset, this philosophy, is going to be incredibly important in the months and years to come. And when it comes to what's going on around us right now, we have two things to truly, truly fear. One is our insane polar division and clash with one another over almost every issue right now, and the way that large power structures are able to impose themselves on us and stamp themselves on us because we're not paying attention to them. I believe that's what's going on in this world right now, and I believe we're looking at a great, great, great set of changes. If there's any truth to anything that I'm suggesting or saying here, then what we need to do is engender and strengthen the attitude of the anti-fragile. The ideal that what is imposing upon us, what is stressing us more and more and more, is the thing that if we respond to it from the right place, and I'm suggesting the right place is connecting, listening, comprehending, receiving, transforming. We can say neutralizing or transforming. We can also say transforming or playing. If we can find the right place of connection, we could possibly even get to the point where this is a form of play. The opposite attitude, the attitude of saying no, is what happens when you resist a great force? It crushes you. What happens when you try to escape a great surveillant force? It finds you. What happens when you try to push it aside? It guides you and tells you where you ought to be on its terms, not on yours. This is all what comes from the no attitude, from the not Tai Chi attitude. The Tai Chi attitude is something different. It's in these essential energies. If I can receive it, if I can play with it, if I can transform it, maybe I can even come out stronger. Maybe through the process of give and take, I can, like Zhang Sanfeng, who watched the snake and the crane battle. And as they separated, the only thing that was changed was his consciousness. He became enlightened. That's the Tai Chi metaphor. We have an opportunity to adopt the attitude of the anti-fragile, where what comes makes us stronger. And if I'm wrong about all these things, do it anyways. It's still better for you.